Hey everyone, today I want to cover Everything Everywhere All at Once by directors Daniel Kwan and Daniel Schachter. Sorry if I mispronounced that last name. But before we start, if you like this video, hit the like. If you want to stick around for more in-depth analysis like this, subscribe. If you have any thoughts about the movie that you want to talk about or any feedback for me in this video, please comment that below when you're done watching the video. Everything Everywhere All at Once is an explosive type of movie. One of the most bloated movies ever, but in the best way possible. Just like the premise of the over-expanding multiverse, this movie has an over-expanding catalog of things to talk about. You could talk about the crazy, exciting action sequences, the beautiful filmmaking, editing, cinematography, the way the film's structured, the comedy, the film's themes about love, empathy, marriage, regrets, second chances, parenthood, the relationship between an immigrant mother and daughter, and the generational gap and the generational trauma that comes with it. There's so many filming techniques, characterization, performances, lighting, editing, acting, anything that goes into making a good movie. But where do we start? Well, where else than the beginning? This movie starts with a beautiful shot, setting up already one of the core aspects of the film, family. A happy family singing along to God knows what song on karaoke night, but the first time until I think the very end of the movie where we will see these three people happy and smiling at the same time. Then bam, an amazing transition, and by the way, I love this shot so much. The transition from the mirror is chef's kiss, like actually perfect. Just like the rest of this introductory scene. This introduction is something a movie like this should always strive to be. We get introduced to our key players here, Evelyn and Wayman. We learn about their lives and their current situation, like their taxes, their livelihood, the pressure of Evelyn's father being in town. We meet Joy and her girlfriend Becky and learn all about Evelyn's fear of her father's disapproval of Becky. We learn about Wayman's adoring support of them. Actually, we learn all of the character dynamics. Wayman's kind-hearted nature, Evelyn's stubborn old lady sass, and Joy's unbearably relatable teen angst. We learn all of this at the start with snappy, well-written dialogue, the constant moving around in the room in the morning that probably every single large family can relate to. We get a real sense of a family in this scene. It sets up most of the plot threads, the story threads throughout the film, like generational gaps between Joy and her grandfather, and even with her own mother when Evelyn tries to open up to Joy, but that falls flat immediately. This introduction even sets up potential betrayal and heartbreak between the two lovers in the beginning of the film that will linger for the rest of the film. All of this in just like the first 8 minutes of the movie, by the way. The movie isn't even done setting up its structure because we haven't even gotten to the main premise of the film, the multiverse hijinks. Because that alone gives us so many storytelling opportunities, like regrets and second chances, and Evelyn's life literally flashing before her eyes when she becomes linked to the multiverse. Now, after everything in the film is properly introduced and set up, the movie is just a non-stop roller coaster of comedic action-packed gold. Now, let's actually talk about the multiverse gimmick for a second, as I think it's an amazing plot device, and probably one of the best plot devices we've had in cinema in a really long time. Some people already, because of its overuse in the Marvel projects and the future DC projects, have gotten fatigued from the multiverse content, but Everything Everywhere All at Once does this gimmick to enhance the story, to tell a story about broken characters, but most importantly, to give them one more shot at greatness for a better life. It's exactly what Wayman says later in the film.
You're capable of anything because you're so bad at everything.
It allows for these zeros to become heroes and live lives that they could only dream of becoming remarkable in. And by the way, the actual multiverse in this film is so fucking fun, dude. My biggest disappointment with Multiverse Madness, another major multiverse film to come out in 2022, was that it really didn't use the multiverse for anything. It was just kind of slightly different environments or slightly different rules. This movie actually has creativity with this new form of storytelling. This movie has fucking everything. It has kung fu movie stars, hot dog hand universe, Ratatouille ripoff, talking fucking rocks. Like, come on, that is so cool. This movie has a couple of batshit crazy geniuses behind its inception, and I absolutely love it. But most importantly, the multiverse is used to define character arcs. In my original video, I talked about how the multiverse was used to enhance one of the film's messages with marriage and love, in probably my favorite scene in the film. I'm just going to reiterate what I said in my original video, but this scene with Evelyn and Wayman is so good. They see every single possibility of their relationship, including one that involves them being separated when they're really young, and grew up to be highly successful people. Once they reconcile and go over their regrets, their what ifs, their what could have beens, we get this heart-wrenching line.
如果有来生，我还是会选择和你一起报税，开始一点。
which then gets followed up by the scene of her destroying the laundromat in a drunken midlife crisis in another universe, which ends the same way with her opening herself up and letting herself be vulnerable to Wayman. The multiverse itself shows that these two broken individuals and their love for each other will always find a way to lead one another back to each other. And this is the first scene in this film that actually made me cry. It's just so emotional. I do talk about the scene a little bit more in depth in my original video, so if you want to check that out, you can. But just to give a quick gist of that video, I love the dynamic here. I love that Evelyn's apology hug is heart-wrenching because she treated Wayman kind of negatively throughout the entire movie. And you can tell it's been a long time since they've probably had a heart-to-heart like this. And Wayman just breaks down crying, and it's just a beautiful scene. I really do love it. The multiverse plot device doesn't just stop here though. There's another relationship in this film, another character that the multiverse enhances, and that is Joy. Both her normal self and her evil counterpart Jobu are very tragic characters. I will mostly be talking about Joy in this segment because her and Jobu are essentially the same character, but Jobu is a dark reflection of Joy, a possible dark path that our Joy could have gone through if she was given the chance. I will only mention Jobu when we need to talk about the ending or any other circumstances where she is needed, but for now, it's just Joy. And God, what a relatable character. Trust me, if you don't have either an immigrant mother or a mother that's more revolved about her work or being perfect at everything or really requires approval from older generations, then this is a parent and child relationship that you really want to avoid. There is an obvious distance between Joy and Evelyn. Maybe it's because Evelyn is afraid of what her father might think of her raising a gay daughter. Maybe she cares too much about her father's approval because he's always been harsh or disapproving of her when growing up. Maybe a small part of Evelyn herself disapproves of Joy's and Becky's relationship. Maybe Evelyn is too hard to please and expects everything from Joy to be perfect and for her to do absolutely nothing wrong. Because those were things that was expected from her when she was growing up with her father. No matter what the issue is, it's wrong. It's way too much to ask from someone that young. Now, a quick side note, Joyce's age is never revealed, but we could assume she's a young adult, maybe 20 to 22 range. I didn't want to call her a teenager, but yeah. Anyways, all these expectations, all these requirements to approve of her mother, it puts a toll on Joy, and it leaves her to feel even more distant than she already does to her mother. If you twist all this sadness, anger, and confusion that someone like Joy is facing right now, and give her a tragic backstory with multiversal powers, you get Jobu. But more importantly, the bagel, the representation of extreme nihilism, depression, anxiety, anger, lost hopes and dreams.
Salt.
And salt? The representation that nothing actually matters, as Joyce herself says.
Nothing matters.
Now, something I love about this film is that while Jobu is the main villain, for Evelyn to win, she doesn't have to technically defeat her. She just has to reach Joy, understand Joy's emotions and complaints, and just reconcile with her. Not only did the multiverse save Wayman and Evelyn's relationship, but it could be used for Joy too. Again, the filmmakers use this concept brilliantly and elevate the characters' dynamics with them, so much so that it brings us to this next amazing section of the film. This scene fucks. This scene fucks so fucking hard. A scene that captures everything this movie was trying to tell us. Like acceptance of who you are, overcoming the fears of your parents' generational pressure, learning to love yourself and knowing that everyone is capable of being loved in any universe, accepting your children for the people they grow up to be and learning how to love them no matter what. This scene, this section concludes everything. Every single little theme, character plot thread, the smallest thing like the hot dog finger tax lady being loved, or the Ratatouille ripoff being reunited with its raccoon, to something bigger like Evelyn calling out her father for his shitty parental decisions, to that same father learning about Becky and Joy's relationship and being okay with it. And holy fuck, just to take a pause here, this scene makes me cry every fucking time. The look on his face, the innocence of Becky's smile and body language, it just hits me every time. And all of this concludes with
Can you please just stop? Mom, just stop.
This scene is heart-wrenching. You can tell that everything Joy has ever kept inside of her just built up over time and exploded onto this scene. Everything, to the writing, the music, the performances. God, the performances, man, capture everything amazingly. Evelyn knows she can't do this to Joy anymore. This whole multiverse adventure was about her learning from her past mistakes and, again, like I mentioned earlier, about acceptance. She says it herself, she hates almost everything that Joyce has done with her life, but she doesn't care anymore. She will never leave, never ever abandon or disregard her daughter anymore. She will always want Joy to be by her side because it's like what Wayman said at the beginning of the film to her.
The only thing I do know is that we have to be kind.
Kind enough to accept love and cherish the people around us. This section of the film captures all those emotions and more. It even elevates the intro because it shows us that these filmmakers and writers put time and effort into these character journeys. The divorce, for example, was a plotline that was hinted at the beginning of the film and was actually quickly revealed to Evelyn like 10 minutes later, and I would argue that was the start to these emotional journeys. Evelyn wouldn't have been as prone to learn from the multiversal experience to love herself and accept herself and the people around her if she didn't find out about the divorce, which I am so happy to say doesn't go anywhere. Can you imagine after everything they actually got that divorce? God, that would be so soul shattering. The multiverse doesn't have any limits when we could tell a story. We could tell a story in any way with no restrictions, explore character arcs with no regression, but obviously it's fake. It's science fiction, well written science fiction, amazing science fiction that's elevated by everything I mentioned so far. Every plot point, story thread, and characterization wouldn't have worked as well if it wasn't cared for by the filmmakers themselves. Now, I understand that if film just became your new interest recently, or you started getting into film in like college for a major, let's say, and I understand how the section can get a little bit boring for you, but you'll learn soon enough that in your new hobby or career that no matter how well you write a film, if a film isn't shot well, edited well, has a great score, or has a proper structure in transitions like flashbacks, set designs, special effects, then your movie will fall flat. Luckily, with Everything Everywhere All at Once, this movie has none of those issues. The score is beautiful, powerful, and enhances every single scene that has an emotional or comedic beat. Speaking of comedic beats, this movie is fucking hilarious, and a lot of that has to do with both the writing and the practical effects. The hot dog fingers were practical, the writing is weird and snappy and funny, like genuinely funny a lot of the times. And I don't know how to say this and not be very open about the certain object, but there's an object of desirable pleasure that goes into characters' bodies during fight scenes. If you know, you know. And they were actually there. They had to choreograph the actors around that situation to perform compelling fights. And oh my god, the action is amazing. They probably choreographed every single action set piece for probably like months before actually filming the film. They built real sets, designed these costumes and silly little outfits, and yeah, they're CGI and special effects, but the VFX artists were given time and proper work schedules and no rush deadlines to meet to. And we're able to deliver a powerful movie. The editing is amazing. We have multiple scenes with these quick cuts that could be like 100 cuts between seconds, and it matches the music and the scene itself. The film is really edited well. I think there was a campaign for it to win Best Editing in the Oscars, if I'm not mistaken correctly, so I hope it won. Film is shot beautifully. There's so many gorgeous shots, so many different filming styles to accommodate certain universes. Everything is lit amazingly and color graded appropriately. Like, god, look at this shot specifically. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful film, and cinematography is actually surreal. I haven't enjoyed just looking at a movie in 2022 besides probably The Batman and The Menu. Every single shot, every single frame, edit, fight, costume, comedic gag, either written or visual, was taken care of with heart, precision, and a ton of passion. I can't do justice what it took for this movie to get made, so I heavily implore you to watch the 15-minute behind the scene video. It goes in depth with all the story decisions, all the visual decisions, and just everything it took for this movie to get made. Trust me, your mind will be blown. In conclusion, Everything Everywhere All at Once is one of my favorite movies ever, and I hope if by some chance you haven't seen the movie or you had an underwhelming time with it the first time, that I reconsider you to watch it or give it another chance. Or if you just wanted to listen to someone who loves this movie as much as you do, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I covered anything specific about the movie that you really want to hear about. If there was anything I missed, then please let me know in the comments and talk about it. I want to know what your favorite part of the film was. There's so much to this film that I'm sure I left something out, and I'm just glad I was able to make this video. This isn't like my other videos where I'm breaking down a theme or rambling in reviews for a message. I just wanted to talk about why I love this movie and the things that I love about it. Anyways, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a perfect movie for all the reasons I listed, and I really implore you to watch it. And if you like this video, agree, disagree, whatever, like, subscribe, comment, let's get a discussion going. Let's talk about this film. I really want to know your thoughts on it. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a good day.